What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Black Side of Liberty. It's your man, Governor Wildstar. I appreciate each and every one of you out there for jumping into this very special show about a very sensitive topic, which I'm pretty sure most of you have heard all about in the news. Black Lives Matter, the movement. It's been around since about 2006, I believe, or 2016. 2017, somewhere around there. But we'll talk more about that in just a moment. But first, of course, if you are watching, I would appreciate it if you would definitely please subscribe, especially if you are watching from YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then at any time, please definitely hit that subscribe button. Help me reach my goal of 30,000 subscribers. I'm almost there. I'm at a little bit over 28,000. You know what I'm saying? So all of you out there that are helping me reach a bigger crowd, a larger audience, please continue to do your due diligence and share any or all of my videos on my YouTube channel, whether it's any one of these Black Side of Liberty interviews, me challenging tickets in court or getting arrested by police officers, or a political debate for mayor or governor. Definitely be sure to, like I said, share any of those videos. Help spread the word about what I'm doing and my political activism, okay? And speaking of which, if you want to help that out, please head over to my website, governorwildstar.com. You see it right there down at the bottom of the screen. Head over to the website and be sure to connect with me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Help me reach my goal of 5,000 people for each of those, for each platforms, by connecting with me there. And of course, you can donate. So hit the donate button and send me whatever little bit that you can. All of it helps. And I do accept Bitcoin for all of you cryptocurrency lovers out there. So like I said, please be sure to contribute any and all that you can to help promote this cause. I do have to pay these bills and make sure that we can promote these videos as well. I would love to do some boosts. Minimum boost costs about $500 on YouTube, and that's to reach the audience that we want. So please, like I said, help me chip that out, chip at that price however that you can by sending over whatever that you can, okay? So with no further ado, let's talk about this whole Black Lives Matter thing, since it is a hot button issue that's going on in the country right now. And it's being talked about since the George Floyd killing, which has taken over the news since I would say early June or so, with these protests that have been going on throughout our country ever since. By the way, if you are watching, you have a question or a comment, just be sure to drop it. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully we'll be able to, discuss that or include that in the discussion here. But like I said, with this whole Black Lives Matter thing, it's a very sensitive issue. And I feel like we should just sit down, kind of hash it out, get everything out of off of our chest about it, actually get down to the bottom of it by talking to Black people, to see how they feel about it. So with no further ado, let's see. Hopefully I have my guest with me here, because I do want to introduce to you guys a very wonderful friend of mine who has been involved in the Black Lives Matter movement here locally in Fresno, and would like to talk to you more about it. You know what I'm saying? So let's see if we can get him jumped in the studio here. My man, Christopher, are you there? Christopher?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, because you got a black screen. I don't know what happened, but
I don't know.
Can you see that?
But I can. They don't need to see me. They just need to hear my voice.
That is true. That is true. So this brother right here, like I said, has been fighting for the cause right here in Fresno. And I appreciate you for being on. Would you mind if I tell them a little bit about you, I guess?
Please do.
All right, great. So my man Christopher has quite the resume. You know what I'm saying? He is the president of the Associated Student Government at Fresno City College. He's studied politics, philosophy, and economics over at Fresno City College, and he is also an investigative Black millennial journalist for the Omni Network. And he's here in Fresno, all the way from Brooklyn, New York. So Brooklyn in the house. I got my man Christopher Leo Washington again. Christopher, thank you for being here on the Black Side of Liberty, bro.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, like I said, man, I'm pretty sure there's much about you that other people will want to know. So please head on over and connect with him on Facebook and Instagram right there at the bottom of the screen. Connect with my man right here, Christopher Leo Washington. So, Chris, since we're here to talk about Black Lives Matter, man, and that's actually where we met, was at a local rally here in Fresno for Black Lives Matter. Right when the George Floyd killing had happened. So you've been very active as far as, being involved in community activism on the millennial side. You know what I'm saying? Getting those younger people involved, such as myself and other people, younger than us, out there and involved in community activism. And so thank you very much for doing that. But we've also had some other conversations afterwards to talk about the actual group organization itself of Black Lives Matter. And I feel like that's where a lot of Black people that are excited about the Black Lives Matter movement kind of drop the ball because they don't really educate themselves much about the organization before they just jump in and get affiliated. So I want to ask you, since a lot has come to light about the Black Lives Matter organization, the global organization, the three sisters that, created the movement and collect millions of dollars from people like George Soros and other people. But they've come out as Marxists, which I don't know if you know anything about, but Marxism is pretty much like on the lines of socialism. You know what I mean? You study politics, so you should know a little bit. But what's that?
Yeah, I'm aware of Marxism, Karl Marx's teachings, and it was a socialist structure where everyone was considered to be equal or on the same scale, and it's opposite of what we as America stands for, which is a capitalist society. So, okay. So from my standpoint, how I see the Black Lives, well, let me back up and just talk about what do we consider activism to be? What is activism? And like, why do people get involved in activism? And I think that a lot of people understand the get out on the street with the picket fences, no justice, no peace, prosecute the police kind of activism. But I think that there is a different level of activism that we should learn to discover, and that's in, legislation reform. And I think that what the Black what I think the African American diaspora as a whole is missing is considering the prospect for the need for legislation. Because after we're done marching, what are we really going to do if we don't have,
Exactly.
What are we going to have? What are we going to have after the marching is over? I'm extremely disgruntled at the recent news. I'm glad that the young man lived. Let's start with that, because he knew within himself he didn't want to be in a statistic. But I find it very concerning when there are police officers who were they took an oath to protect and serve, and because of an altercation that did not even have to do with the individual, and basically the individual was an innocent bystander. He was an innocent bystander. So at the end of the day, this particular innocent bystander got shot in the back 7 times because of no fault of his own. Is that really community? Is that really protecting and serving? And at this juncture, standing and marching, that's all good and well. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do about legislation? What is legislation? How do we create how do we create political leverage within our communities? Because what is it going to take? Another young man or another young woman? The names, the list. When we think about this and how long police brutality has been going on, and how long these issues within the African American community have gone on. If you think about the historical, if you can even take a historical reference, and this particular historical reference of how long systemic oppression has taken place within the African American diaspora, we can go all the way back to the foundations of America. So I would humbly submit this: if America is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave for everyone, and everyone is supposed to be deserving of these unalienable rights as according to the Constitution, why are not Black people included into this equation?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're trying to give a moral compass to a group of people that lack moral consciousness. And I think that in order for them to understand our level of moral consciousness, we're going to need legislation.
Yeah, but as far as you're right, as far as Black people having an opportunity to make legislative change, we got to make sure that we're actually getting politicians in office that will create that legislative change. I mean, right now, you already got Trump in office who does the bare minimum pretty much. And then you got Joe Biden, someone who has been a longtime politician and is now running for president, and isn't really proposing anything much to help the Black community as far as policy changes, same policies that he created when he was a senator, like the 1994 crime bill, which basically made police profit more popular. And I just want to say thank you to Mimi right here, who actually donated $1 a super chat. Buck, thank you so much, Mimi. I truly do appreciate it, because every little bit helps. And if you want to contribute to my activism, I would suggest you to please head over to my website, governorwildstar.com, and click on donate, because YouTube actually takes 60% or 30%, pardon me, out of that super chat, and it takes 30 days to receive. So it's not really as beneficial as they make it seem for us content creators. And like I said, I would like to make sure that I'm using that as using as much of that as possible towards what I'm doing. And that's actually one of my ventures, is running for office and trying to attempt to make that legislative change. And it's hard to get people to contribute to what I'm doing. Like Mimi just did, at least she gave $1, you know what I mean? It's hard for people to kind of get excited about investing into their community in that way. Black people really don't see any reason why they should be putting money behind a candidate supposedly to get elected, such as Joe Biden. But he's going to get, he's gotten as far as he did because he had the money. All of the other candidates, they ran out of money. What's his? Cory Booker ran out of money, stopped his campaign. Andrew Yang ran out of money. Kamala Harris ran out of money, stopped their campaign. So big money runs politics. And we already know this, but yet it's like we don't take it upon ourselves to do anything to actually change that situation. What do you say?
I think that I agree with everything you said into the last part, because being proactive is understanding that, okay, a lot of people use the excuse of voting. When we think about voting, a lot of people do not vote because they don't believe in the candidates. But this is America. So if this is America, who said that we have to vote Republican, we have to vote Democrat, or that we have to vote anything other than, like, I feel like African Americans can create their own political party. African Americans can create their own political structure. But going back to your question in the beginning, I want to speak credence to that. In the very beginning, when because I gotta walk y'all through this. In the very beginning, when America was created, America, the economy of America was based upon the system of slavery, and policing came from the bounty hunters who were hunting the slaves at the time. So how do we take an institution such as that, call it policing, and then expect for policing to be any different?
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, it was the intention and the structure of African American, of the slave catchers to catch,
Right.
to bring you alive and to for you to pay a penalty. And so we go back to this: African Americans, we are powerful enough to where we can influence and keep our own community safe. We didn't put crack in our streets. We didn't create a war on drugs. We didn't sit here and create project housing that really did not help the Black community. We didn't sit here and write legislation that was hard on crime. It's like me going to jail for doing drugs that you put on the street. It's like a setup.
Mm.
Who would system like that? And I think that's the problem with the African American diaspora today. I think that we think that the Constitution protects us when originally the framers didn't even consider African Americans to be people. We were
Yeah.
considered to be thirds of a person. We were considered to be property. So I humbly submit, why would I believe in a system? Why would I believe in a system that seeks to not even consider me to be human and then expect for that system to protect me? That's not logical. Like that, I'm searching for the logic in that, and I consider myself a little educated.
I believe
Seeing
it or not, it's
in
like you kind of unraveled the big mystery there, because that's been the conundrum of every, period for everybody.
it
That
is.
wonders why people are stuck in supporting the two-party system. It's like, Republican, Democrat, Republican and Democrat. And as long as I've been alive, my voting, time, I guess, ever since I've been 17, and that's over 20 years now. And so throughout my entire life as a voter, it's been this whole
Right,
back and forth, going between these two different parties, which seem to be the same. We have a one party
right,
controlled government, but people don't see it that way simply because they're wearing two
right.
different labels. And you're right. It would be more advantageous for Black people if we had our own political party, but we don't see, again, the investment in politics because they haven't proved it. Like you said, we elect these
You want to know
politicians,
why? You want to know why that is?
they lie.
You want to know why that is? African Americans don't know which political party to support because those political parties support their own paradigm. African
Hmm.
Americans do not have a construct or a paradigm of what Black politics looks like because we've never been given the chance to look at it this way. So I think that the beauty of this particular movement and the beauty of this particular moment is to shed light on the fact that we can come together within our own knowledge and we can vote the way we vote. So I want to speak to that too. Voting, people do not involve themselves in voting because they don't understand the paradigm of voting. They don't understand the voting process. They don't understand what it takes to register to vote, what it takes to get people involved in the system. People do not understand the power of the vote. People don't understand that your vote is your voice of power. And I think that at the end of the day, we need to think differently about the perspective of what we consider African American. What let me go back. We need to consider what the perspective of the paradigm of the African American construct is. What does politics look like to the African American?
Hmm.
If we then we create a definition of that, and upon creating the definition of what we consider to be Afrocentric politics, whether it be Afrocentric grassroots politics, Afrocentric millennial, Afrocentric LGBTQIA, all of these different perspectives, each specific community within the African American diaspora must conglomerate or come together to come to a consensus of what we consider our version of liberty to be. But we cannot do that if the sphere of influence, i.e., the Republican, i.e., the Democrat, i.e., libertarian, any of those other already established political parties, if we are already watch this, if we're already being if we're already being disenfranchised by the system, which is the establishment, why would we keep giving into the establishment? The Republican Party, establishment. Democratic Party, establishment. All of these different major corporations that support lobbyist movements, establishment. That is the
Mhm.
volition of the establishment. So the
But
only way we that
BLM
is,
is establishment supporters as far
well,
as the organization goes, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying as far as their political agenda. For instance, all right, so right now, part of the BLM political agenda is to defund police, which is kind of like a smart idea, stupid idea, because when you're talking about defunding the police, yes, it has, actual I guess financial benefits because
mm,
you spend too much money on police officers. Number one, the majority of the police officer salaries in the state of California is over six figures, $250,000 even, and we have
right.
thousands of police officers that are receiving that much money plus pension plus overtime even. So we're
Kill
overpaying
people.
for that. Then if they go to kill somebody, now we're paying for them to be on administrative leave or paying for a lawsuit settlement or something like that. So yes, we need to be taking that money that we're spending on law enforcement and utilize it better towards helping the community. But all right, so one of the things that would help immediately is ending qualified immunity. And that provides like a layer of protection for police officers that do shoot to kill to be actually let
Mm-hmm.
off the hook for doing so. Now there's a
Exactly.
libertarian, so there's a libertarian um, legislator in Congress by the name of Justin Amish, who's a newly
Mm-hmm.
libertarian, and he's been promoting this ending qualified immunity since the George Floyd killing. No Democrat candidate has gotten behind that. You don't hear Joe Biden behind that. You definitely won't see Trump behind that. But the Libertarian candidate, of course, is all for it. The police also have their own Bill of Rights. Why? Why do the police have their own Bill of Rights? That needs to be taken away. So when it comes to the political agenda of BLM, what they're seeking to do doesn't really immediately address the issue to where Black people will stop getting killed by cops, since that's really the complaint here with the group itself.
Well, we have to start from the beginning of when activist movements start. There is a core purpose and a core there's a core purpose on why the specific activist movement starts. So when we look at BLM, why did BLM start? So we go back to the beginning, and each political, as sad as this may sound, and I'm going to say this on the air, money is the root of all evil. And a lot of people, when they start activist grassroots movements, they start with the intention to bring change to the world, and then they become sucked in by the root of evil, money. And I believe that that is what and this is why I've said this for years. Name one mainstream national millennial activist that has the same a level of influence as Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. I'll wait.
You are
There
correct.
isn't one. There isn't one. So my question then becomes, what did the movement didn't start with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. Why all of a sudden isn't the movement stop? Why all of a sudden did the movement seem to stop with them? And I think that we're in the middle of a crisis. We're in the middle of a crisis now where the the people from their generation, they were supposed to teach us stuff, and they were supposed to give us the same level of influence and then back up, but they didn't. And
Mm-hmm.
so we as activists, we're coming together in our own generation, and we didn't we every I'm literally searching for one. I don't know of any grassroots African American activists under the age of 40 in America that's actually speaking up for the issues of America on a mainstream level like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. So I feel like the generations before us have failed us in the attempt to try to hold their level of influence for the love of money. And that's the reason why I believe that if we want to progress as a people, we need to first understand that the establishment will always be the establishment, and the establishment will always come to influence. If we allow ourselves to be negatively influenced, then that's not on them. We know the traps of which the system is seeking to set before us. If we know the traps and we know the snares, then we can be conscious. I don't know any African American within good, like it, I don't know of any African American within my scope of my experience that will literally think that it's okay to push down another Black person. But there are African Americans that fight against each other because of political preferences,
It's
gender preferences. I think that at the end of the day, African Americans need to put we need to put all of our issues aside, come together, and find out what our strategic plan will be.
that's
Because if
actually
we're constantly dividing, if we're dividing without defining, then we're never going to be able
Mhm.
to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's actually another thing that I wanted to talk to you about because we've had discussions
Mm-hmm.
about how some of the Black leaders here in Fresno, some of the older people, are pretty much preventing us younger people from being heard, giving us a platform to be to speak out and be heard by a larger crowd. And of course, the mainstream media, the establishment, the fake news, they're not going to give us that opportunity. And because of a lot of these major tools like social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, or TikTok, or whatever the case may be, seems to be again dominated by that same establishment of dualism, you know? So we kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
forge our own path, and it's up to us to kind of be responsible to go out there and, like yourself, go out there and look at other options and actually use your brain for once and stop thinking
Mm-hmm.
about the tribalism, the political tribalism, and start thinking about the actual candidates and what they're doing. But with regards to these organizations coming along like NAACP, UNIA, since it is, August, Marcus Garvey month, you know what I'm saying? The red,
Mm-hmm.
black,
Yeah.
green flag. So he created the UNIA. And the reason why it did not succeed was because Black people didn't believe in it enough. They didn't pour enough energy, money, and resources into making sure that it came to fruition. Same thing is happening now with Black Lives Matter. You got money being funneled into it, but what are they actually producing? So are the old guards, preventing us millennials from being able to be heard?
I'm gonna get in trouble.
Hey, we're always here to make some trouble, right? Why not ruffle some feathers
Man.
along the way? But you got to be honest. I mean, that's what we're here for. Did I lose you there? You still there, my man? Where'd you go? You didn't lead a conversation. You was like, oh no, I'm not answering that question. Christopher, you still there? If you're still there, I'm unable to hear you, my man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the technical difficulty. Uh, I'm not sure what happened, but just as he was about to answer that question, he ended up disappearing. So hopefully we can get him back on on the line, to answer that question, because we do want to know what's going on with these organizations that are collecting millions of dollars to supposedly address issues within the Black community and aren't doing the damn thing about it. NAACP has been around forever, hasn't done a damn thing about it. The National Action Network, Al Sharpton's group, hasn't done a damn thing. Rainbow Coalition, Jesse Jackson's group, been around for so damn long, hasn't done a damn thing. Black Lives Matter, been around since, like I said, 2016, 2017, hasn't done a damn thing. I mean, it seems like every election year they capitalize on some, killing of a black person, black tragedy, and that's how they end up raking up some money, and then they disappear. Ever since the George Floyd killing, what have they really done? Do you have any of you all seen Patrice Cullors, or I don't know any of their damn names, but have you seen the people of Black Lives Matter, the actual founders, out there protesting? Have you? Please send me a video because I want to see it. I want to see them out on the streets, chasing, out there with the people in Minnesota, with the people in Portland. Oh my God, get your ass out there in Portland, then we can talk. You don't see them out there in Wisconsin. You don't see them in Chicago. I definitely haven't seen them out here in California. Been seeing a whole lot of celebrities though. You know what I'm saying? You people are being fucking played. You need to open your eyes and realize what's going on. All right. Hopefully it looks like I can get my man Christopher back in here. Christopher, you still there with me, man?
Yeah, can y'all hear me? I wasn't running or nothing. I wasn't running, but my phone, can y'all?
I thought I scared
But
you
my
away,
phone,
man.
as soon as that question popped up, I was like, oh man, this
Hey, you
is
should have known we
are
was
the
gonna have to talk about this, man. You know what I'm
this
saying?
is good. So let me raise the
As
question again.
safely as you can without saying any names.
Are the old guards blocking millennials? I think that our approach, that the millennial approach to politics is starkly different than what the old guards are used to. We have, in my opinion, a higher level of influence through social media, and our generation is extremely vocal. I remember when I was a kid, something happened to me at school, and I remember my late mother, I got disciplined and chastised for it, but my late mother she told me, she said, there's something about y'all new millennials. Y'all don't give no resistance for nothing. Y'all not our grandparents' generation. And every time I think about that, I think that in a certain stance and in a certain level, I think that some older people are tired of fighting. Therefore, as a result, that has made them become passive. I think that some of the old guards are extremely passive on issues that are affecting the African American community. Now, I'm not saying that all old guards that are standing on the wall are not impacting and influencing our community. But on a national scale, are the old guards blocking millennials? Yes, because I'm still waiting to see a millennial activist under the age of 30 that has the same level of influence as Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. And I still don't have an answer to that. So at the end of the day, I think that within our local communities, there are lots of older people that are helping people. But on the national scheme of things, is old people helping younger people? No. There was a situation a couple of months ago when Donald Trump, they put the Black Lives Matter sign up, and then the next day, Donald Trump comes down from the White House and he walks directly across the street. When he walks across the street, he takes the Bible and he puts the Bible up. But the outcry of that was a whole bunch of older black preachers. And in my mind, that befuddled me because it's like, how are you the pastor of First AME Presbyterian Church of Enoch, whatever church you're a part of, and there are no young people standing beside you so that they can at least watch what the movement is going to look like? And I think that older people think that younger people, I think that older African Americans think that younger African Americans don't know enough about the struggle when we are the same color and we're fighting the same struggle. I think that there are some people that serve as peacemakers, and I think that some people serve in the community as gatekeepers. I think that sometimes the old guard thinks that we're serving as gatekeepers when we are really the generation that is called to be the peacemakers. Right. And I think that the approach to peace sometimes means war. The approach to peace sometimes means war, because at the end of the day, if we're going to have a level of equity within our community, we're not going to be passive to the issues that have delayed us from equity in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I submit that yes, there are tons of opportunities that the old guard that the old guard is giving to help enhance the African American community. But in another realm, in another prospect, African American millennials, we have the ability and the fire with the passion to be able to create effective change and effective movements within our communities. I think that the level of disgruntlement or disconsolation between African American millennials and the old guard is this: the old guard says that millennials do not know, but millennials have been watching all along. That's like telling somebody to watch an episode of Dragon Ball Z at 6 o'clock on Wednesday and tell me what happens. If I come back and ask you and you didn't watch the episode, then that means you don't know what's going on.
Right.
And I think that I think that the old guard thinks that we haven't watched the television show, therefore resulting in us not knowing what's going on. When I beg to differ that we've been watching this for years. We've been watching this under the scope. Oh my God. We've been watching this under the scope.
Can I add to that if I may? Because there was a comment made here about us, about younger people, and the term millennial, it sort of like downplays us as adults. You know, it demeans my adulthood. I've been a part of the working class since I was 14. I've been married for almost 10 years. I have a son. You know what I'm saying? I'm a responsible adult. You know, and I'm contributing to society.
But that's what they think we aren't.
Yeah. But yeah, when they say millennial, you know, it makes it seem like we're some kids that need to be disciplined. We're unruly. We need to be controlled. You know? Yeah. So you're absolutely right as far as the old guards go, because they're not trustworthy.
Can I add to that? I wouldn't say that they aren't trustworthy.
Or they're not entrusting. That's what I meant. They aren't entrusting in us, the younger generation, to pick up the torch and, you know, keep the shit going.
Right. Well, yes. And I think that there is a power struggle and that there is a power shift even within generational lines. And I think that this let me just submit this for everyone, for the record, if I may, that the system of oppression is not going to stop if we do not stop it. My kids cannot fight the same battle that I fought, that my mother fought, that my grandmother fought. When we think about generational, when we think about generationally, my grandmother cleaned kitchens for white people for 10 cents an hour. Well, that was my great grandmother, for 10 cents an hour. Her mother was a slave. My grandmother did the same thing that my grandmother did, but she, I guess, became more spiritual in her knowledge of how we were being oppressed. My late mother, she decided that she wanted to be a manager, and my late mother, rest her soul, she decided that she wanted to be a leader, and she decided to marry a guy who was interested in leadership and politics. So I submit all of that, though, to say all of these were their struggles of what they had to go through for me to become who I am today. So I would humbly submit that if we've been watching their struggle, and not only have we been watching their struggle from the eyes and the lens of my late mother, but we've been watching it through the eyes and the lenses of our ancestors. So if we have been watching this struggle, we have watched a struggle of fear. We have watched a struggle of turmoil. We have watched a struggle of trauma. We have watched a struggle of disenfranchisement. So if we've watched all these struggles, and then we continue to see these struggles within our own generation, dealing with the concept of defunding the police and the police brutality, then I would humbly submit this: why if we all are sharing the same struggle and we see your struggle, is it that you just do not see our struggle? But Or is it that if we come to understand, if you come to understand our struggle, then you'll have to get on board? And then I think that some older people think that when they're getting on board, they're actually losing a level of power. But if anything, you're not losing anything. It goes back to Blackstone and Knees. When we did that protest and that rally on Blackstone and Knees, there were primarily young people, and that happened because that's just the way that happened. But in the same sense, there were older people. There were older people out there supporting us and giving us their effort in coming together as community. The system of white, the system, the system of white supremacy. They're coming together to bring they're coming together to continue to oppress. Why can't we get it together long enough for us to be able to throw out corruption in the sense that we need to do something different? And I'm tired of people using the word change loosely. I'm sorry, this is Christopher. All the titles then went out the window, and this is what y'all just gonna get. Change, 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 change. What does that word mean? Why are we loosely using a word that we're not incorporating within our communities? We're fighting for change, but some woman just had to prostitute her body just to feed her kids. We're rooting for change, but somebody right now is going to die of a meth overdose because you're putting crack in our streets. We're fighting for change, but a pregnant mother can't even go to the hospital and get affordable health care and health insurance to bring her child in the world. Oh, we're fighting for change, but there are still issues within Black infant health. We're fighting for change when sex trafficking is at an all-time high and sex trafficking is at an all-time. What are we really fighting for? It's almost like we're saying we're fighting, but fighting without knowing an objective means that you're not going to connect. If I get in the boxing ring right now, Nicholas, if I get in the boxing ring right now and I say that this is my opponent, if I don't know my opponent, when I go to fight, I'm going to be thinking that I'm fighting when none of my punches are connecting. Yes, we called the fight. Yes, we got to the ring. Yes, we're now in the ring. And yes, we started throwing the punches. But I think African American millennials, we know that when we throw these punches, they're going to connect. And I think that the old guard thinks that when we come along, that we're not, oh, you're too small to get in this fight. You don't really know what you're doing. You don't really know the enemy. When we do. So I'm gonna submit to the old guard this, and then I'm gonna be quiet on this subject. We've been watching you through slavery, Jim Crow, voter suppression, Civil Rights Act, and now we're in Black Lives Matter in the culture war. So where we are, and this is where the construct of approach comes in at. If your approach is off, then you're not going to be able to. We millennials, we just know that when we get in the ring and that buzzer go ding, ding, ding at the day of the first punch, number one, we're going to throw the first punch. Number two, every punch after the first punch is going to connect. And number three, we're going to bring down the system of oppression. And we know that every punch that we punch, it's going to be more powerful than the punch we punched before. And I think that older people just need to just go ahead, sit on back, and watch us win.
I'm telling you, shit.
That's just what it comes down to. Is we got this. We know y'all been swinging and y'all ain't been connecting and they've been ducking and they've been throwing haymakers and they've been pushing y'all in the corner. But we got this now and we gonna connect. And I think within African American millennials, we're very supportive of each other. I've seen other generations and it's all right what they do. But millennials, if you have a voice and you have a platform for a voice, 90% of the people in my life, we exchange platforms, And so I just think that, and this goes back to voting, we need to raise awareness on the construct of voting. What is voting? Why should we vote in October? Why is our vote going to matter in November? Because we, number one, I'm gonna just accept this. We cannot do all of the work, but at least by the time by the time Elijah and Kendall come, or Elijah and Kendall's kids come, then we'll be able to have a system to where maybe they can create their own political party, because political parties do not start overnight. The construct, when you think about the Republican Party and the construct of the Democratic Party and how these different systems came to be, this came from a long list of oppression. So it's almost like you opening the door. So people, this is a good analogy. People think that the movement is you open the door, you kick the door down, and now there is no other door. No, the system of oppression is deeply seated and deeply rooted. Racism is deeply seated and deeply rooted. So instead of us thinking out, oh, we're gonna kick this door down, boom, and then no more doors. No, we're gonna kick this door down, and then we're gonna prepare our legs to kick the next door down, and then the next door down, and then the next door down. And we may not be able to kick down all of the doors, but everyone else will be able to kick down the door, and eventually we gonna get there.
I think it's a little bit exactly what you said. It's kind of like there's a bit of an emptiness between the demand for change and millennials, I guess, enthusiasm about bringing that to fruition. Because we're not going to stop.
Right.
We're not going to stop at just the bare minimum. We're not going to
Of
stop
course not.
at with a placebo, or something to play
Right.
for the
We don't
moment.
need a test, baby. We
Yeah,
did the drill already. It's
right.
time to go.
And
You feel me? Like
we
that's just
do
what it
have
comes
strength
down
in
to.
numbers. We do have strength in numbers, and we do have the power of networking more than ever before because of social media
Absolutely.
tools and all of that. But you're right. It is a matter of us galvanizing political power.
Absolutely.
Getting behind that initiative. So, if anything, I would say we need to start looking into um, taking over some of these political parties, actually infiltrating them, and
Yes.
getting in there and taking them over on the on the fundamental level. But that's actually one of my next questions, because I do have a few questions, and I know my audience has a short attention span, so I want to make sure that we're covering as much as we can as possible. But you dropped on something during I guess one of your responses about how we as a younger generation need to start building some equity, and have
Right.
that foundation built to where our children and our children's children and our children's children's children, whatever, won't have to worry about being in debt, living in debt, and actually profiting from all of this labor, this work that we're putting in right now, the parents. So I want to ask you, with regards to building generational wealth, because we have a lot of rich people out there, a lot of rich Black people, and they don't seem to want to put their money where their mouth is and build foundational elements for us to build on ourselves. So when it comes to generational wealth, how is it possible in the Black community, or is it even possible at all?
Oh, so this particular conversation I actually had with a friend of mine about 2 months ago. Shout out to my friend Tiani Bolden. And we were talking about how to create economical leverage within the Black communities. What is economic leverage? What do we consider economic leverage to be? And how do we take our money and invest it in things that will create our own system or establishment that works for the good of us? So I think that, number one, I am not an economist, so I cannot give a broad answer to this. But I'm going to connect you guys with someone, and you guys can bring her on, and she can give an in-depth thing. But I don't think African Americans, from my vantage point and my perspective, um, have I don't think when people equate African American economy, they just think spending, Black
Mhm.
Friday. They don't think stocks, bonds, mutual funds, Roth IRAs, you know, CDs, saving
Brick and
money,
mortar
investing money,
businesses.
putting,
Yeah. You know,
huh?
I said brick and mortar
Yeah,
businesses.
and we're the consumer.
Yes.
We're the consumer. And since we're the consumer, they've taught us that if we constantly consume, then we won't produce anything. And that is the thing. They taught us that if we don't if we're constantly, because there's two different economical brackets. You either have the consumer or you have the producer. I do know this much. She did teach me this much. But if you're constantly being the consumer, if you're constantly becoming the consumer, then you will never be able to understand the power of production and the power of what you can produce. If I knew when I was a kid that I could save all my money and put it in an account for when my son came along, don't you think that I would have did that a long time ago? And but the
Yeah.
thing about it is the system or the establishment has kept us. um, I look back at the 2008 stock market
Illiterate.
crash and how the system just like within money, how the system just was like, we're just going to bring down what we consider to be economics. It goes back to Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street economically had everything that it needed to support with its own community, and everyone had a level of connection and networking within each other. The Black Wall Street, everything that happened with Black Wall Street came from the fear of the oppressor thinking that we were going to break away from our specific position of oppression. And at that specific time, we were. And I think that we're fighting a two-man front. Of course, we can gain political leverage by electing officials that have the proclivity to be able to speak to our needs as a disenfranchised community. But I think also on an economical stance, we don't know, or we do not have proper knowledge of how to invest, what to invest in, who to invest in, what businesses will actually create corporate wealth within our communities, which as a
Mm-hmm.
result will create generational wealth. We don't have that many Black CEOs, Black CFOs. We don't have that many African American people that take high places within leadership. And that's the reason why we shouldn't trust the establishment now. We got a guy who started off in his hotel room, went to UC Berkeley, magically out of nowhere created a system, Microsoft Word. In him creating this system, he made so much money to where now he sits on the board to determine whether he thinks that a vaccine is needed for Black communities. When did we get to this point? How did we get here? At what purpose and what time did we as African Americans think that it was okay? And then it's so strategically set up to where in order for you to go back to school and do any of those things, you have to take the shot. And that decision was made by a white man. Big
Mm-hmm.
pharma, the system, the establishment, the
But
white
where
man.
where
All of
where are
these
the
things
multi-millionaire,
are.
billionaire black people? They aren't sitting in
Yes,
on any of those executive committees making those choices for the black
of
community.
course not.
And
Of
and we don't have any elected black leaders. So, as far as black people as a whole, you can't just um I guess, prop us up as a group based on your selected individuals. You don't see those people involved in those choices. But you're right. When it comes to us knowing how the dollar works, how money works, period, we're financially illiterate. Most people don't know about how to balance a bank account, let alone cryptocurrency. That was one of the things I was saying
mhm,
before this whole coronavirus thing started back in December.
mhm.
Was I was saying everybody out there buy crypto, and now look at this,
Right.
it's just ballooning, and you know we're not taught about these different currencies, how they work. We're not taught about trading. We're not even taught about our own money and how it works and how it's connected to debt, and is actually fake because it's not backed by anything other than our debt. So we're not as educated as we should be when it comes to money. So then we kind of just give up on the whole idea altogether about getting away from the financial institutions that exist, because we don't see a way out of it. And it's sad. But I feel like, if anything, at this point, Black people need to start looking into creating maybe their own monetary system or currency, which is what I'm actually proposing, is that, Black people create their own cryptocurrency and start using that to create our own wealth, instead of having to rely on certain payouts, such as
Right.
restitutions, or reparations, which is being considered right now as a way to create that wealth for Black people. But again, if you know how money is created, if they're just going to hit print to create money to give us, then that's going to devalue the fucking money that they're now giving us. Why do I want $1 if it's worth 1 cent? It doesn't make any sense. But again, if people think they're getting this handout, they're getting some compensation for all of the ills and struggles that they've been through, then it's going to continue to lead us down a path to where we're going to be indebted to that system and stay enslaved to the dollar. I mean, if money is the root of all evil, then who's behind that? Who's trying to play God? And it's the people that are using that money to enslave us. You know what I mean? And that's actually another thing I want to ask, because when it comes to Black people creating that wealth, actually, investing into each other and, supporting Black businesses, we don't seem to, I would say, show up as much as we talk. We do a lot of talking, not a lot of showing up. Mm-hmm. So why do Black people settle for less when it comes to being provided for by society, being provided for ourselves, providing for ourselves, our school system, the neighborhoods? We pay into the tax system, don't see it benefiting us, go out to the polls, vote red or blue, Republican or Democrat, thinking that it's going to fix things, but it doesn't. So why do we settle for a system that doesn't really, benefit us?
I think that your question is I think that your question is a little paradoxical and a little ambiguous, but I understand the context of it. I do not think that all Black people are not supportive. I furthermore do not think that all Black people do not show up. I think that Black people have not been given the platform to be made aware of the issues, resulting in people not being able to show up. If you see a Black person that does something bad and he ends up getting caught for his a mistake or something, the media is going to tear that to shreds. They are going to have a field day with it. They are going to push it in the 8 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, 12 o'clock. Every time the newscast comes on and you hear the local news or the national news, if it's dealing with them posing themselves continuously as a threat to the system of to the system of disenfranchisement, they'll do it. But when it comes down to promoting African American excellence, no one can promote African American excellence except for African Americans. And I think that we need to rely on our allies and people of. First, we should believe in ourselves, and just because we believe in ourselves does not mean that we're not going to. Let me go back.
So that is not showing up in a sense. You know what I'm saying? If we're not...
but they're not showing up because nobody is being made aware to show up. If you told me there was a party at 3 p.m. and you didn't tell the person down the street that there was a party at 3 p.m. and then you can't get mad that the person down the street didn't show up if you didn't tell the person. And I think that the level of influence
if I want to go out and party, that's true. But if I want to go out and party, I'm gonna go out and find out where the party is. I'm not going to sit back and wait on anybody to tell me where the hell the shit is going down. And that's what's going on. That's what I'm saying is the problem. We're too busy demanding a seat at the table, talking about what's traumatized us, talk about how we're being held back instead of focusing on how we can come together collectively to start moving forward, to create our own platforms, to create our own business models, to create our own economical system. We can create our own schools. Nothing within the government confines us to abide by the systems that they've created. Yet, it's again our own ignorance that prevents us from furthering and advancing ourselves. Asians, the reason main complaint to them is, why don't black people do what we do? Any other immigrant group that comes to America and is able to prosper, whether they're Latino, Asian, or Armenian, whatever the case may be, they come together and they help each other. I heard something called like a susu group or some shit like that, where everybody puts in a pot and then you share the money with each other. Or I guess like when it comes around to you, then you get the majority of the money, but you have to put in so much to get that money back. And it's a great idea, but the reason why it doesn't happen is a lot of people scamming each other and taking advantage of each other. But those larger groups, those other ethnic groups that do that culturally, just culturally, it's within their community. And because of that, they're all able to succeed. They're all able to prosper or have an opportunity at least to do so. Black people don't do that, period. And rich motherfuckers,
I agree.
Like Jay-Z and Puff Daddy and whoever else, all these boxers, Mayweather with stacks of money and shit. You see them niggas trying to help out at all? No. And what's the reason why? What is holding them back?
Man, and that's the sad truth. That's the sad truth. And I think about a situation where there are other racial and ethnic groups that can live with each other for years and years and years on end, and black people want to do that, but I think that it's extremely difficult to do that. And I think that some African Americans don't understand community, just like, and I think that it all comes down to that. And I think that there are different variations on why, yes, I'm gonna stick to that. I think that there are different variations on what prohibits certain things from taking place. But I think that, and this is why I'm such an advocate for education, because if you educate and enlighten yourself, then you'll be able to come to terms with your own perspective and come up with your own ideology, and you can share that with other people. And I just didn't understand, the concept, when I was an African American Studies major, I didn't understand the concept of the talented 10th. Why do I have to pick one person out of 10 people to go to school and bring the knowledge back when everyone can go to school? Yeah. And like, why do we have to pick someone? And it doesn't matter whether and it all goes back to when some of the kids wanted to go to school and they didn't have enough money to go to school, and their father was like, well, you have to work in the fields. Even though education may have been his goal and his path, he had to give that up as a sacrifice because the parents didn't have money. But now in our generation, we have what it takes to educate ourselves. We have what it takes to conglomerate ourselves. We have what it takes to propel ourselves. We have what it takes to excel ourselves. Now, that's like me going to that's like me going to In-N-Out and looking for a burger, and they give me the burger. If I don't eat that burger, shame on me. I wasted my own money. And that's what I think is going on. I think that the African American community, we have everything that we need sitting in front of us, and sometimes we do not use it, or we do not know how to use it, or we do not believe that we can use it.
Yeah, and there is a squandering away of our wealth. You know what I mean? I can't tell. I can't tell you how many black people I come across that got, fancy watches and shoes and clothes and cars and all of this other stuff, but eating at McDonald's and shit, can't take care of their kids, got bills stacked up high as ever before. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you're chasing this elaborate lifestyle of luxury that you can't even afford, or better yet, isn't it wise? Because I seen a video of what's his name, Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy,
Yeah.
CEO of Amazon. And it was a video of him like back in 1998. And he's like worth $1 billion at this time. And he's driving around in some Honda. And the interviewer asked him, why, you're a billionaire. Why are you driving around in a Honda? He said, it's a great car. It's reliable.
Right.
Why get rid of it? But yet you have motherfuckers that are working at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
Here we go.
Or a Benz or some shit like that, or a Bugatti, motherfucker.
That's because our priorities are off.
What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? What kind of legacy are we passing on to our youth? What type of an image are we trying to portray? That's success? That is not success, especially when we're still struggling, still getting killed by cops, and getting lynched, and people are watching it on the news as if it's entertainment or some shit. And then we're having movements that are co-opted behind our actual energy to go out there and change things for the better. It's ridiculous. So I think it's a matter of responsibility personally. And right now we don't have many people being told to be responsible. They're being told to be to rely on others in order to get ahead in life. Rely on no one. I'm not going to tell my son, to rely on anybody for anything in his life, including me. I can only do so much as a parent, as a provider for him, but there are some things that he wants to obtain in his life. He's going to have the wherewithal and the forthwith to go out into the world and make that damn self. So with that said, I want to move on to my next question, because we are talking a little bit long, like I said, but thank you for being part of this discussion, this lengthy discussion.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I do want to ask you, with regards to these organizations that have been around, like the Black Lives Matter movement, like the National Action Network, Al Sharpton's group, NAACP, Rainbow Coalition, whatever, etc. All of these groups are around, and they've been taking money, big money, large donations to supposedly address these issues in the Black community, but yet we don't see it happening as much. Do you think that these organizations can be trusted, and should we?
You're going to get me in trouble again. This
Hopefully you won't get disconnected again,
I am.
Like, pull the plug.
I'm going to answer the question because I'm here for it.
Right.
I respect all of those organizations. I think that all of those organizations are doing they're doing what they can do. Now, I will say this about the NAACP. The NAACP works hard, and
I'm gonna let you slide on that one, man. Work hard how? Because if you gonna say that, you got to give an example of what they've done.
Can you guys hear me?
They can't even give it a damn example of what they've done. I lost my man Christopher again. Hopefully we can get him back on to continue this conversation and answer that question, because I do want to know, why are these organizations, they've been around for so long, they take millions of dollars, supposedly they're out here making policy changes and advocating for all of these different causes, but how often do we actually see some results from them? So if you're out there and you're watching, you have an answer for me, please definitely drop that, and I'll drop it on the screen here so we can discuss that since I lost my guest, hopefully we can get him back on, like I said, to continue the conversation. But in the meantime, happy to chat with any and all of you out there that are watching this. I appreciate you for watching up until now. And definitely thank you for being a part of this. But my man TJ says we cannot expect miracles from them. This thing is big. The problem is monstrous. Really, it is. See, that to me, that's still wishful thinking. That's giving them the benefit of the doubt. They've been around for so damn long, and it's not expecting a miracle. We're just expecting you to do follow through and do what the hell you say you do. None of these organizations actually do. Shit, I'll even pull up the Nation of Islam, okay? It's been around for how damn long? Yes, Farrakhan is a great speaker, very enigmatic, very arousing to listen to, very exciting. But what has the Nation of Islam done for Black people, really, in this country? Have they stopped niggas from getting killed by cops? No, they haven't. Have they stopped disparaging communities from being able to suffer or from suffering due to poverty? No, they have not. Have they advocated any legislative change? Have they gotten any politicians elected into the system, even just to infiltrate it? Infiltrate it. That's what I'm saying. If we really want to take it over, we got to perform a coup, get in there, run for office, infiltrate the system, and make that change, okay? Hopefully we can get my guest Christopher back in here to continue the conversation. I saw him pop in and out, so he's probably having technical difficulties. But yes, I really believe it's a matter of application, and a lot of these organizations just have, simply put, have dropped the ball, and they're not worth our energy or time any longer at this point. So I don't think we should be investing into them any longer. We should be moving along, looking for different opportunities, looking for different options where we can better use those resources, that money, that time, that energy, you know. And what my man Christopher is doing, you know, is doing his best to create that and shape that as much as possible. I'm doing it myself right here with the Black Side of Liberty, but you know, it's difficult to get on. How many of you are actually sharing these videos? How many people out there have actually heard of me because of these videos? Though, you know, any other conservative, a Black conservative that speaks, you know, racist, you know, rhetoric or anything like that, or on the left, some liberal, whatever the case may be, those are the ones that people seem to be embracing, are the political extremists that use hateful speech and hateful rhetoric to, you know, attract people and supporters and keep that whole fighting right versus left and duality, system of duality going. How do we end it? How do we stop it? You know, and it's up to us to, again, start creating a new way of doing so. So, like I said, I'm doing my best to create that myself with the Black Side of Liberty. I'm also creating a new initiative called the, what is it? The Black Gold Rush. Thank you. So the Black Gold Rush will be a campaign to let all the Black people out there know that you should leave the Democratic Party and join the Libertarians. Yeah, that's what we could do. Just take over the damn Libertarian Party. It's open and ready for us to be embraced and actually do some things to where we can get elected and empower ourselves by way of libertarianism. So through the Black Gold Rush, I'm hoping to get at least 1,000 people either register libertarian, voting libertarian, or all of the above, shit, or joining the Libertarian Party, you know. So if we can get some people to do any or all of those, then I believe that we can be successful. But I'm creating that myself. It's called the Black Gold Rush. It is not like Cal Exit, or no, it somewhat is like Cal Exit. It's supportive of that effort, but not like Blexit. That's what I meant to say. Blexit, which is the Candace Owens initiative to get more Black people away from the Democratic Party and voting Republican. And so is the, what is it called? The Walk Away campaign. Yeah, that's another one. But mine will be focusing on getting Black people away from the Democratic Party and into the Libertarian Party, or at least supporting libertarians or a registered libertarian or something like that. So if we could do that, that would be great. My man TJ says, I agree, we should invest into smaller organizations. They are top heavy and not very nimble. To ostracize them, though, is to give up a bishop with no gain in position or payment for the sacrifice. I don't really understand the second part that you said. I do think we should give up on them because they haven't benefited us at all. But yes, we have created this top heavy construct for activism to where all of the money that goes into activism goes to the top organizations. The bottom ones, the ones on the grassroots level, like mine, never see any. You know, it's a small trickle in of cash that goes into those organizations. And we need to change that, you know, stop the astroturfing, as it's called, which is large money donors going into these bigger organizations, and put that money actually into these smaller organizations. My man TJ says, I'm registered as an independent, hopefully not part of the independent party, because a lot of people don't know when they register as an independent voter, more often than not, they end up joining unknowingly the independent party. So make sure that you, when you register to vote, that you are not joining the independent party, but registering as a nonpartisan voter. So that's what you need to do. No party preference, NPP. So you TJ, you probably want to re-register as an NPP, no party preference. But by doing so, just so you know, that will put you out of any closed primaries. If it's a Republican primary or a Democratic primary and only people from those parties can vote, it will put you out of that. So in order, I believe we changed that now to where there are no more closed primaries. So come the next primary, which will be March 3rd, I believe, March 3rd, 2022. That will be the next primary. It will be an open primary, so everybody should be able to vote for every candidate. So I think that change has taken effect here in California. But if you are watching wherever you are, make sure that you do not have a closed primary, or else whatever party you're registered with, you won't have the option to vote. For instance, here in California, we just had our last closed primary, and people that were registered Republican only got to see Republican candidates for president. And the same thing for Democrat and Libertarian. You don't get to see all of the candidates for all parties running for that office. It's awful, yes, but that's the way our election system is. You want to change shit? Get into office, change it your damn self, instead of relying on these institutions, these powers that be, to do it for us. They aren't going to do it, and they haven't done it by now, so stop expecting them to. I give the smaller organizations and individuals, yes, you sure do, TJ. He helped promote my campaign for mayor of Fresno, which needed support and is a Black organization. So he did everything that he could to help support me. And my man Christopher didn't even know about me because again, a lot of people just aren't in the know as far as candidates that are running for office, because they're relying on the mainstream media to actually inform them. They're not going to tell you about everybody or everything. They're going to tell you what they want you to know. And if you haven't admitted that by now, then you're living a lie. Let's just be honest, you know. But yes, hopefully we'll be able to get my man Christopher back in here. It looks as if there was a technical difficulty that will not allow him to be to continue the rest of the conversation. And I've been rambling long enough about this topic. But if you guys want to connect with him and enjoy everything that he said, and hopefully can encourage him to come back onto the Black Side of Liberty again, check him out on Facebook and Instagram right there at the bottom of the screen, all of his information. Please connect with my man and find out how you can get involved in advancing liberty. And whether it's involved in the Libertarian Party or not involved in the Libertarian Party, just to change the political system and not an empty demand for change, but actually following through with some results. That's what we want. We want some results right now, not later, right the fuck now. So check out my man Christopher Leo Washington again on Facebook, Instagram at Culture and the Vibe. Okay. So I do appreciate you guys for jumping in. I apologize for the technical difficulty. I wish I could have continued my conversation with my man, but hopefully, you know, like I said, we can get him on again to continue the conversation. But Johnny says, look forward to supporting you for governor. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's actually what I was going to start talking about next, John. So thank you very much for the support. And please do all that you can to help me get elected, because I certainly need it. And LL says, persons who work in the legal, financial, education, health, political, and technology sectors need to join forces. We need to step away from the militant groups that seem to be popping up everywhere. Yes, indeed. Have you guys ever seen Atlas Shrugged? If you haven't seen the movie Atlas Shrugged, please check it out. Atlas Shrugged. 1, 2, and 3. Because we need to create our own shit. We need some John Galt type leaders, and we need an exodus away from this totalitarian system of government that we've allowed to get propped up in our republic. And it's we need to either tear it down, burn it down, or take it over. Like I said, if we don't want to do it destructively, since that's what's happening right now, is people are destructively tearing down the establishment. You want to curb the violence, you want to do something about it, this is how, okay? So please definitely vote Libertarian. I can't say it enough. Stop voting for the two-party system. Start voting for other candidates. Oh, wait. That's my notes. Anyway, so if you don't know when your primary is going to be, I'm going to tell you now. Next primary is September 1st. September 1st in Massachusetts. This past week we had Oklahoma. August 25th was Oklahoma. So this past Tuesday, if you lived in Oklahoma, then you had your primary. I hope you voted. Please be sure to get prepared for the general election in November. But in the meantime, like I said, we still have people that are having their primary, like New Hampshire here, whose primary is, Massachusetts, whose primary is going to be September 1st. So you're up next, Massachusetts, next week, Tuesday. Please vote Libertarian Jo Jorgensen for President of the United States. We can elect her as the first female president here in the United States of America when you vote Jo Jorgensen. Also, what you're going to be doing is helping her get a better percentage so she can actually be invited into the presidential elections, which are coming up soon. We want to make sure that Jo Jorgensen, the Libertarian presidential candidate, has an opportunity to be heard. So if you want to let her speak and give her a chance, please be sure to vote for her during your primary. And also, why you want to vote Libertarians for the primary is so you can help those other candidates that are on the ballot that have to petition for ballot access. We want to eliminate that. Candidates shouldn't have to petition to get signatures just to be on the ballot. They should have ballot access. Everyone should. That's how it's an equal opportunity. So you guys got to go out there. You got to make it happen. And the only way to make that happen is by, again, voting for the presidential candidate to help every other candidate get ballot access. So please do so. And if you want to take a stand against tyranny here in the state of California and help me, this man right here, get elected governor of California, I am currently accepting donations for my campaign for governor in 2022. I would like to get that ball rolling sooner. So please contribute anything and everything that you can to my political campaign to become the next governor of California. Head on over to crowdpack.com/C/Wildstar4Gov. Okay. And like I said, please be sure to contribute whatever you can. I'm trying to hit $10,000 right now. And every little bit helps. Make sure that I'm heard throughout the state by those people who probably won't know that I'm running unless I have money to pay for their attention. So help me make sure that I'm paying top dollar, since the Republicans and Democrats are. And you can do so by helping me hit that $10,000 goal right now. So please head on over to crowdpack.com/C/Wildstar4Gov and shoot me some cash. You know what I'm saying? So we can take over that ass. Who is John Galt? John Galt is Wildstar. Straight up. You get me elected, we'll make that shit happen right here in the state of California. Speaking of Cal Exit, I will be making a statement about that initiative soon, since as a gubernatorial candidate, as a candidate for governor, I am supporting the succession from the United States of America. In the event that I'm unable to make all Californians happy and we continue to be threatened by the federal government, were I to be elected governor of California, I would definitely sign to succeed away from the United States of America if, in the event, all of you Californians were to vote to support such an idea. Yes, indeed. But I appreciate the joke, John, and thank you for watching the show very much. I appreciate it. John said just donated. Woo! Thank you, John. I certainly appreciate it and need the contribution. So all of you guys out there, follow John's lead. Head on over to crowdpack.com/C/Wildstar4Gov. It is a crowdfunding website for political candidates, and I need your help. So do like John, head on over to CrowdPack and contribute whatever you can. Thank you so much, John, for the contribution. I plan on making you proud, not only during the campaigning, but in the event that I definitely get elected governor of California. So if you guys want to give me that opportunity sooner than later, rather than waiting until March 2022, which is a little over a year away, while you guys are making it seem like, oh, that's so long away, March 2022. It is almost September 2020. We got a few more months to this year is over, and then it's 2021. So all next year, I need to be campaigning all next year. From January until December 2021, I need to be making sure that I'm out there, making sure that I'm having my face seen, doing as many interviews as possible, shaking as many hands as possible, kissing as many babies as possible, all that good shit, all the way up until, like I said, March 2022, which isn't that far away. It'll be here before in a blink of an eye. Trust me. So if you want to get me elected sooner, and you live in California or don't, you can head on over to recallgavin2020.com and help we the people of California get rid of our governor, because we don't want him in office right now. And what you can do to help us recall his ass is by, again, heading over to the website recallgavin2020.com, print out the petition, sign the petition, circulate that petition, and of course, send that petition in so it can be counted towards the recall. We need to hit nearly 3 million signatures before November 17th, I believe, which is the deadline. So head on over to recallgavin2020.com and find out how you can get involved in a recall now. And TJ says the debates are run by an organization that's a farce. We have been sold out. It happened a long time ago. It continues today. I said it before. I'll say it again. We live in the most deceived nation ever. Yes, we are totally being lied to by the what is it called, the debate commission or whatever. They're a private company, and they're created by Republicans and Democrats simply to support Republicans and Democrats. The last time a third party candidate was ever invited to a presidential election, you heard of him, and that was Ross Perot. And ever since then, they have never allowed another third-party candidate to get onto that stage. They even changed the rules when the Libertarian candidate had enough votes or had met that percentage to be included in the debates, and they changed it. They say, oh, no, it's not 1% now, it's 3% or some shit like that. So they changed the rules, and they keep changing it. So we are stuck in playing this fucking game with them until, like I said, a true revolution happens. And if you guys want to help and making sure that that revolution comes to fruition, make sure you go out there and vote, and put some pressure on the debate commission so that they can allow her onto that debate stage. And if we're not, boycott that shit altogether. Don't watch the debates. Don't vote for the two-party system. Vote Joe Jorgensen for president. So moving along, you guys, if you want to help me get elected governor of California, to help that liberty movement, head over to recallgavin2020.com so we can get rid of Gavin Newsom right now. And if you want to help with that, with the effort behind the movement for recallgavin2020.com, then please join our organization. We Have Rights Corporation. It's a nonprofit organization that I'm affiliated with, and we need your help. We need people like you, freedom fighters, liberty lovers, to join the movement. We are nonpartisan, nonprofit, grassroots. We're not getting AstroTurf. We're not receiving millions of dollars by, donors who want to take over the organization. It's ran and controlled by people like you. And I'm proud to stand behind it 100%. So if you want to do the same, and again, advance our efforts, since we're holding these rallies, conducting rallies throughout the state to reopen and recall Gavin Newsom out here in California, costs thousands of dollars. The bare minimum just to run a successful event is about $4,000, $6,000. And that's renting stages and PA systems and promoting and all of this other shit. So if you want, please head over to wehaverightscorp.com, click on donate, and you could be sure to make a contribution to We Have Rights Corporation. We are centralized in California, but in the event that we become a national movement, that'll be based on, again, people like you getting involved in what we do. And speaking of getting involved, if you guys want to get involved with my wife, Crystal Wildstar, please be sure to come back on Wednesday, every Wednesday, where she provides psychic readings for free to all of you out there. So if you want a free psychic reading from my wife, Crystal Wildstar, she'd be happy to provide it to you right here on the Governor Wildstar YouTube channel. So wherever you're out there watching, please head on over to the Governor Wildstar YouTube channel, subscribe now, or head over to Crystal's Healing Arts.com or Crystal Healing Arts on Facebook, and be sure to follow her there so you can get live updates about the videos for Crystal Room Wednesdays right here on the Governor Wildstar YouTube channel, or like I said, Crystal Healing Arts on Facebook. All right, so please be sure to come back next week, Wednesday. And of course, you guys definitely be sure to come back to the next Black Side of Liberty episode, where I will be talking to Mr. Adam Carbone, who's a candidate for Massachusetts, actually. So Massachusetts, if you live in Cranston, I believe, then definitely, I think that's Massachusetts. But if not, we'll find out more when we talk to Adam. He is a 2020 candidate for Cranston mayor, and will be right here on the Black Side of Liberty next week, Tuesday, September 1st. So please be sure to come back then when we talk to my man about his campaign for mayor of Cranston. So all of you out there watching, I appreciate you for jumping into the Black Side of Liberty. All of your questions and comments during the broadcast. My man Christopher, who unfortunately I didn't get to continue interviewing, but I hope to again have on sometime in the future. Thank you, brother, for being here to chop it up with me for this wonderful chat. So, and like I said, thank you all of you for watching and tuning in, and please be sure to come back next week, Tuesday, where we're going to do it again right here on the Black Side of Liberty. All of my beings of light, art, culture, and knowledge, have a great weekend. Take care and peace. I'm up out of here.